Yeah. Hey there. What you're looking at right here is this is on the EB walk. I've said this a million times already, but this is actually just up the island a little ways here. And on a beautiful day, this is exactly what it looks like. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now, and you might think, oh, well, yeah, my bookshelves may not be perfectly in line in order. And I was looking at this wall drop stuff the other day. You can't, of course, on Instagram, you people can't see my books, and that's okay, maybe. um, my logo, as you can tell, is not exactly um, lends itself to the wall drop mentality. They've got a great one of a nice, comfy, cabiny wood leather type of little den, and look at my logo. It would need to be entirely different before you could put that on a wall and make that look decent, which is okay because anyway. Evolution and spirituality. While I was sitting in meditation this morning, and I sit in meditation because there are benefits to it. So I'll mention a couple of themes here. I got into Buddhism a long time ago after I was a Christian, but I had the church had left me pretty much, and I hadn't quite entered the deconstruction phase. And I don't know that I ever entered into Buddhism in a way that meant any real change. I don't know. I won't say it did, won't say it didn't. And then 2011, as a firefighter, I fell into the abyss of trauma. My story's on my website. And of course, you can learn all that at Raise Your Resilience, yada, yada, yada. But the point is, I fell into an abyss, and the upshot was others helped me get out of that abyss. I went on to become a certified somatic trauma therapist, and that's what I do. That's what I love to do. I show others how to get out of that abyss of trauma. And so if you're wanting to talk about that, you can see the email address, Leckey, Leckey at Raise Your Resilience. Yes, that is my name. It is my Irish family name. The Gaelic means warrior or hero. And I have walked into both of those, or grown into both of those, I'll say. And it sounds like lucky with an E. So the luck of the Irish. I could just say the luck of the Irish. Or the luck of the Irish. Who's going to know the difference? In any event, as I healed, I started to do some deconstruction around spiritual matters, what we call spiritual matters. And I know there's some real, and I don't know if I have it here. I'm going to say not. I do. Oh my goodness. How lucky. All right. Around spiritual matters. And I think these are still some of the largest questions that are still unanswered in religion, in mankind, in philosophy, all that. So I'm working with this definition since I wrote it. Mind, spirit, consciousness. Maybe that is the dynamic, embodied, alchemical gold. And what I mean by that is it's the alchemist is something that is turning something base or mundane into something sacred, something worthwhile, something valuable. And I wonder if we have this energy. We haven't even explored that far enough yet to make any definite, some people think we have, but we have not, any definite clarity as to, but we do know that, I mean, this body will decay, obviously, and turn into ash. And, if it was just buried in a hole, pretty soon it would just be bones. And then eventually the bones would decay, and apart from something, it would break down into the individual atoms. And that energy, because energy cannot be destroyed or created so far as we know, well, then all of my atoms somehow, somewhere will bind up with something else and become something else. But that is what I am made of at the very, very least. What's the word I want to use here? I can reduce myself to energy. And we know we have feelings and emotions. We have perceptions, intuitions that, whoa, no. Don't do anything with that guy. Don't do anything with that gal. We have that kind of intuition. Senses, sight, hearing, taste. No. Cognitions. Now, I say cognitions because what I mean by that is not only thoughts, but levels of awareness. And I'm going to skip going into the whole Buddhist thing, because to the Buddhist, if I have a mind that's thinking thoughts and I'm looking at my thoughts, what part of my mind or what of me is looking at my thoughts? It's a legit question. I have my memories, I have desires, and I have imaginations. Yeah. And that, when we say, dream huge, or when I say dream huge, that's what I'm doing. I'm imagining. And there's nothing wrong with that. In any event, these are the things, and I can't specify, because maybe just all of these things together are what create our mind, our spirit, our consciousness. And as we, and this is where this is going, because as I continue to heal as a human being, all of these things suddenly become different in their quality and their nature in my experience of life. Now, when I finally deconstructed Christianity, it wasn't a tough choice, mainly because when the church abandoned me and my family, when I needed them the most, it told me everything about Christianity. And it did so because who was like Jesus there? Nobody in that whole church. And I'll spare you the details. That's another story. Oh, you know what? I should write that post, I guess. In any event, so deconstructing that was not such a bad thing. And basically, so it was my experience with the church. Okay. And the stuff I've seen since then has just confirmed that my choice was the right one. On the other hand, deconstructing the Bible was a little bit more of a challenge. And I had to confer with some people and challenge my ways of thinking, which had been affected by my 13 years of being in the church, being an active leader in the church, and all the different people that we had influenced, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. What I have seen in time is how much harm religion does to people. So I come back to my Buddhism. And the other day I was talking to myself, I guess I'll admit that. And I don't practice necessarily meditation from the Buddhist point of view, in that I am sitting there doing all kinds of mantras or practices and things like that, or even focusing on a deity or one of their enlightened beings. I'm not doing that. I'm just sitting still, watching my breath, watching my thoughts. That's a real long, slow path to change. But what it does do is rather interesting. So I'm going to introduce you to the relaxation response by Herbert Benson, Dr. Herbert Benson. He's a doctor at Harvard, or was. I'm pretty sure he's retired. He might have been passed on. I went and saw him in 2012 at Harvard when we were doing a presentation on for 6 Seconds, which is an emotional intelligence group. And my partner at the time, who had written or created the mixed emotions cards, we were asked to come out and present the cards. Anyway, Herbert Benson was a keynote at this event. And after writing the relaxation response, some dozen years later, he wrote the relaxation revolution. And he started with meditators and how this affects the body. And it's pretty well known. If you will sit and be quiet for 20 minutes, just follow your breathing, follow your thoughts. No, do not try to empty your mind. It's made to think. We just have to work with that. Anyway, as we have this experience, the body calms down. Now, I did know that during the days of my anxiety, meditation was out of the question. So as I'm sitting there just being quiet and calming my body, my heart will learn to, my heart base rate will drop. It will eventually start to begin to bring calm to my entire nervous system. And here's the challenge: if you're in constant fight or flight, to me, that's trauma. Meditation becomes a spiritual bypass. You will be beating yourself up for all the mistakes that you make meditating. Yeah, baby. So with the relaxation response, I found, because he was working with transcendental meditation, and I'm not certain what the differences are. Yet I'll say this, it's rather fascinating, and I'm curious to know just how those differences are. But if you just sit nice and calm, keep your back straight, just breathing, just being quiet, you might have some quiet music on in the background. And just, to me, the practice was, because this will always think. And the thing is let's say it's like a cloud that goes by, and that's a thought of whatever you want it to be. So let's say you're having thoughts about, I got to take it, or thoughts of your last meditation session, which sucked. All right. Carpenter, firefighter, I'm not going to apologize for my language too much. It sucked, because that's the word we use. And then we beat the hell out of ourselves. God, I've been doing this for 15 years. I should fucking know better. Well, that's oftentimes because there's trauma inside. And sometimes these thoughts go, and it's not that that's happening. That's okay. It's like a cloud that's going by. You see the clouds in the pictures? They belong there. And what happens is the cloud goes by, and what do? Yep, that is the problem. So when it says empty your mind, what it means is just let the cloud go by. Don't follow it. Don't attach to it. Just watch it go by. Be like sitting out here on the EB Trail, just watching those clouds on the horizon and go by. Or you could sit here and watch. You could see all those different patterns of different shades of blue. And that's the movement of water, tides, riptides, all kinds of stuff are happening out there because of the geography underneath the water and temperatures and changes. And you can just sit there and watch that all day long. Well, okay, your butt will get sore, but that's the idea. Just watch it. Just watch your thoughts. Don't attach to them. So when you do, whoop, beep, beep, whoa, you're 5 miles on the track. You're at the next station. Now you got to hop on the train and head back the other way. Okay. This is how you learn these things, but that's the practice. Just come back. And you'll find over time that you will catch yourself further back, quicker than you used to. That's the whole idea. It's not that your brain's not thinking, it's just that you're not getting attached to or following or identifying with that thought. You're staying right there. If that brings you into you is the idea. The question I had then with Buddhist practices is all these repetitions of things, of their prerequisites, as it were, and the million mantras, this, 10,000 of that, 10,000 of this. What's the purpose of that? Because at the bottom line, any form of spirituality that I practice has to either enhance or show to me that it has more power to change me than my using the evolutionary tool of tremoring to change my life. Because it absolutely changed my life like nothing else. Religion never touched it. Christianity never touched it. There's a million things I tried to change. None of them worked until I learned about tremoring. That completely upended. I wouldn't even be having this conversation with you if that had not have happened. If that hadn't happened. Excuse me. Therefore, that's why I question practices. I need to know that this mind, spirit, consciousness is real or not. We all want to know that question. We all want to know the answer to that. We all want to know the answer to that question. And I know that's where I was. And I know a lot of religions that aren't true will tell you the answer to that. We don't have that answer yet. Because a lot of this, they could not explain. And that's part of the reason I like it. I need to know, and I know that Christianity, to be specific, cannot change you because it's fictional. I won't go into all the details on that, but that's the bottom line. Now there is, and it's easy if you're in a cave or cloistered or somebody else builds you a temple or rents you a house for you to sit there and meditate all day long. That might change you, yeah. If I didn't have to work, that'd be great. If I didn't have to do anything, that would be great because other people are supporting me. All I have to do then is sit around and teach people trauma all day long. That would be cool. I'm building that for myself, though. If anybody out there has all kinds of money they want to give to me for me to go out and explain this to people even more so, I would be more than happy to do it. I'm still going to want to build it for myself. Excuse me. That's what I need from a spirituality. It has to have some form. It has to add to, or it has to show to me a power to change life more than what evolution built into us. Because when I first got into healing my trauma, it was all about healing the trauma. We weren't talking about back in those days post-traumatic growth. This definition flows completely out of post-traumatic growth. I have a bunch of them on my website on the under the resources tab. It's not all that I have. I didn't find all of them necessarily relevant to, and I keep adding them. But that's what I need. And that's why I add the deconstructive part to the healing program at the Raise Your Resilience Toolbox. That's one of the later modules so that we have already a foundation from which we can discuss these kinds of issues with a without getting freaked out, and with having some newly gathered information. Now, I hope this works. I am going to do this for a second. When I say information, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I want information to do, to inform me. Make sense? Information. This has to be something that's useful to me as a human being that will, and that's why it says what it says on that page if you ever get there. Information. And we continue to add to these things. So, but now on the other side, I would have to sit down with my meditation teacher and say, you need to be able to show me, I need you to show me that this is worth investing my life in. That's the same question I would ask an employer. Why should I work for you? What's the benefit of my investing my life here with you? So there are, and that's why it's important to value your own life in this regard, because information is informing you whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not. And I have all kinds of stuff said to me about this, that, or the other thing, and I just keep saying, okay, show me the evidence. People make all kinds of claims about spiritual matters, but what do they base those on? That's right. So to quote Dan McClellan, let's see it. Show me the evidence. He also does the fit for this video, and I'm not quite certain what that is, but and then he pulls up his t-shirt and it's X-Men or something like that. Anyway, mine's just a basic white polo, and I got to tell you, if you like comfortable t-shirts, the white polo is so comfortable. It's good cotton. Otherwise, the fit for this video is an estate sale sweater. Yeah, really, honestly, you could find some good stuff at estate sales. A spirituality has to have something that adds to my life or the power to drastically change my life more than the tool that's already in us that can completely change our life emotionally, well, physically, I'll start there, physically, emotionally, cognitively, socially, which means relationships from romantic to work, spiritually, and environmentally. So if you look at I'll go back to here. You guys don't see it on Instagram, but you see all that back there? Yeah. I made those bookcases, by the way, and I think 4 screws hold up all of that. Yeah, I'm tricky that way. And honestly, and if I could turn, I've got my skeletal system poster here, periodic table of social emotional learning, anatomy of the brain, and I got the skeleton. Well, yeah, there's the skeleton. Yeah. I wish I had a clinical room to put these in, but that's not for now. And so the environmental. What is your world? What is your life? What is the buildings? Are you reflected in what's around you? How's that? Yep, those are my books. And those books reflect me. And then there's so this is kind of my office, obviously, because that's why I have all these various posters and yada, yada. I got my drum set here, kettlebells and stuff back there. So it's also my gym and my music studio. My environment reflects me. Those are the constructs, the avenues, the aspects, just like the different facets of a crystal. These are the things that matter. And when I healed my trauma, all of those things began to take on importance at different times of my healing process. And I addressed them. And that's why the Raise Your Resilience Toolbox program exists in the form it is in. Anyway, I wish you a good Sunday. All right. Have a good day. We'll talk to you later. Bye.